On this episode of Playlog, we're talking about the nominees for the Geoff Keighley Game Awards, the brand new Indie Game Awards, and discussing how we feel reviewing video games. Hey guys, CGDannyB back again with another episode of Playlog, the podcast where we talk all things indie gaming, but of course, I can't talk indie games alone because that's boring, so I've got my partner in crime, the Play Nice Kid themselves, Tofr. What's poppin', homie?
It's gonna be a low energy kind of podcast from me this week.
I get
like,
you.
It's usually a low energy thing from me, but even more so. Unless, of course, something pisses me off, like that Jewel Shockers article did last week.
All right, quick. I need to find something to piss off Tofr. We're gonna just cram this energy up to 11. Game Award nominees. You see those? We'll talk about those in a minute. The juices are flowing. Tofr's ready.
Yeah.
Oh boy. We'll talk about the Game Awards stuff uno momento. However, real quick, do a little bit of housekeeping here. Quick reminder, as part of our podcast, we'll be doing our monthly book club where we'll go back and replay some indie games, or get around to some indie games. Of course, we're playing indie games, some classic indie games, or finally get around to some modern indies that we just haven't played yet. For the month of November, we'll be reviewing Sable, embarking a unique and unforgettable journey and guide Sable through her gliding, a rite of passage that'll take her across vast deserts and mesmerizing landscapes, capped by the remains of spaceships and ancient wonders. So if you want to get involved in the episode, play the game this week on Steam, PlayStation, or Xbox, and then head over to our write-in form and describe your thoughts on Sable for our November 26th episode, which will be next week's episode of Playlog Podcast. You can catch it live on twitch.tv/CGDannyB, or you can join the discussion after the fact on youtube.com/CGDannyB. You start Sable yet?
No.
Fair enough. I just started yesterday. I probably put like 3 hours into it. I'm like, okay, we're good. We're in a spot.
I reserved some time like tomorrow and the day after to play.
I got you. I mean, no spoilers here, but kind of digging it so far. Kind of digging it. I fucked up. I fucked up a little bit, but we'll talk about that later.
No.
Not a big fuck up. Just not a big fuck up. We're just like, I did. You know when you explore too far in the game and then you come back and they give you a side quest to get items and your bag is full of those items? Like, that's what happened.
Oh no.
That's what happened. But yeah, we'll talk about Sable next week on the podcast. Yeah. However, we do not have a write-in question, but Tofr, you had a discussion / statement / let's punch somebody in the mouth.
Yes, because I'm starting to wonder when Geoff Keighley is going to get his head out of Hideo Kojima's ass and actually look at indie video games for once in his life.
Yeah, the Game Awards are out there, and we're going to talk about some of our favorite indies getting nominated here in a minute, but the Game Awards, they're not the place for the indies, man. They just do not get the love that they need. I think we had, Plucky Squire, Neva, Balatro, I think are like the big three outside of the actual, like, just indie game categories. But even then, like, I think there's still, like, some of those, I'm like, yeah, these are the ones we picked, huh? Okay. All right, fair enough. But, yeah, dude, I would love to see it. So there was a tweet yesterday or a blue sky eat or whatever we call those posts or whatever. Hold on, let me find it because I want to give credit where credit is due here. But someone did a post, and if I scroll down through my Blue Sky, you can find me at cgdannyb.bisky.social on Blue Sky. So it's Giovanni, I apologize, Colantonio. And they basically tweeted out, I can do this here. So here's my the Game Awards problem. No one can play every game. It's just not possible. So when it comes to a wide media voting jury, the nominees turn into the best games that I played for work. Zeitgeist games will always rise to the top because sites and creators had to pump out content on them. And like, I retweeted that being like, I was just talking about that this morning, and I totally agree, because the whole thing is like the Game Awards like panel, people who are nominating these games, anyone who doesn't know how it works, it's the IGNs, the GameSpots, the Eurogamers, the Kind of Funnies, the What's Good Games, the pick your poison, the big outlets. They get like a packet of sorts or an email or something like that, and they're like, here are the categories, nominate some games. And then once Geoff's team gets those kind of decide what the 5 nominees are. So if a team is just like, oh, for action adventure game, we love XYZ Elemental P, and those are the ones that get all the votes, those are the ones that go in. And then say like next year Playlog gets thrown in and we're the only ones showing love to the indie games. And we ride in with, what's a big indie next year? I can't think about next year. I'm still thinking about this year. Fucking, let's say Hades 2 officially comes out in 1.0. Yeah. Well, that's a bad example. That's going to get votes regardless. Stick with me on this.
Silk Song.
There we go. That's probably another bad example. That's going to get votes. But let's say no one's heard of Silk Song but Playlog podcast. And we're like, yo, Silk Song. You're like, no thanks. Final Fantasy 7 Part 3, as well as Elden Ring DLC Part 2 finally came out. So like, that's kind of what we're voting for. So that's just how the outlets go, which like sucks a little bit. But I had a big discussion on the Discord, the CGDannyB Discord yesterday about like, yeah, I love the Game Awards. I won't take away how much joy I get out of watching those. I see all the flaws, and though they do bug me, I still enjoy my time watching the show. But if you want to see the love for those indie games, you got to watch the smaller ones. We're talking the Golden Joysticks. We're talking the this year inaugural indie game awards. That's all indie games, obviously. And seeing those grow and give the platform to indies that people want, that's what we got to do. You got to show love for those. So watch the indie awards, everybody.
Yes.
You want to fight Geoff, though? You got any words for Geoff? You want to look him in
I
the eye?
would gladly. Like, god damn. I get like that it's not even him selecting the games, but
yeah.
Like, put in some effort and
make
up your mind if you want to include DLC or not.
We're gonna have a conversation today. It's gonna be fun. This is gonna be good. Let me see here. Timestamp. Let's hop into the quick indie news. We got a couple articles here, 3 to be exact. Speaking of the Game Awards, Balatro is mixing up with the big boys for the Geoff Keighley Game Awards. So this article is from Jill Grote over at Indie Informer. Love her. She's great. Except when I don't know. Except when Jill, you're great. I don't know. I wanted to joke that I didn't have anything. I was like, except when she doesn't update the release thing, but I'm like, but she does that. I don't know. But Jill has done a great breakdown of all of the Game Award categories and then the indie games nominated underneath each one. So we'll just start at the top and then feel free to interject and tell me to shut up if you have anything to say for anything in particular, Tofr. But we'll start with Game of the Year, the only indie nominee being Balatro, which I think, I could be wrong. From my research, I thought Black Myth Wukong was also indie. I heard Game Science was indie, but maybe there's some weird hinky stuff with that.
Indie,
yeah, so I'm not sure if that's a miscommunication or if Jill's like, I have insider knowledge, and that's an EA, John. I'll tell you that, or something like that. But according to Jill's list, Balatro.
Like, can I ask you? You watch the Geoff Keighley Awards every year. Yeah. I don't because Geoff Keighley.
Yeah.
But, I read somewhere that each of the Game of the Year nominees gets some music from the game played by an orchestra.
Yes. Yeah.
So that means that there's gonna be Balatro music played by an orchestra.
Yes. Yes. I do love the Game Awards orchestra because every year as they do Game of the Year, they're like, the nominees are I think they do them before. The nominees are these. Before we do the announcement, here's the Game Awards orchestra. And then they just start with like a melody. And like, I think back to the first year, I think was 2017. So they did like Tears of the Kingdom, Horizon Zero Dawn, Super Mario Odyssey, where they had I'm sorry, I don't know the woman's name, but she came out and sung the New Donk City, I'll be your one up. She sang that one. Cuphead was in there. Like that was the first year, I think, and I loved that. So then some years the music's not as strong, so you're kind of like, I don't know what game this is, and then you have to wait till they show the screen. I'm like, oh, that's Elden Ring, cool. I don't know Elden Ring music like that, so I don't know. But yeah, knowing this year it's gonna be like Final Fantasy 7, Elden Ring, and then like somewhere in the middle there, we're just gonna hear like that, like ding 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 ding, like Balatro playing. I'm like, let's go. I'm very excited for that. Yeah, listen, there's not everything's great about the Game Awards, but the orchestra, they kind of nail that every year. I'd say watch the performances, they're pretty good. Yeah. But yeah, so Balatro, only indie rep for the Game of the Year category. Best game direction, also just Balatro. Best art direction, we've got Neva is the only one on there. Games for Impact, pretty indie heavy. We have Closer the Distance, Indica, Neva, and Tales of Ganzera Zao. In best indie game, believe it or not, all indies.
No.
We've got
Dave the Diver.
Dave the Diver's back, baby. So nice, we put it in twice. We have Animal Well, Balatro, Lorelei and the Laser Eye, Neva, and UFO 50. Best debut indie, we have repeats, Animal Well and Balatro, as well as Manor Lords, Pacific Drive, and The Plucky Squire. Best mobile game, we have Balatro. Best family game, we have The Plucky Squire. Best sim strategy game, we have Frostpunk and Manor Lords. Sorry, Frostpunk 2 to be specific, and Manor Lords. Was that everything? Oh, is that the end of the list? Oh shit.
I guess that's the only categories that have.
There you have it. Those are the other ones with indies. So those are all the indie nominees for the Game Awards, which we didn't read through all of them, but every category has at least 5 to 6 nominees. So you can see with each of those being 1 versus 5, not a lot of indie representation. The ones who do show up, I think Devolver did a post. They were like, yo, congrats to Neva and Plucky Squire collectively having 5 nominations, where I think Neva had 3, Plucky Squire had 2. But yeah, I think it's like great to see them show up, but I'm praying that they win their categories. I really want to see them win, but that's Jeff's show.
I love that Devolver also made a tweet that said, congratulations to us on once again being the most overrated indie publisher.
They know where they stand. They know what they're about. They know what they do. Devolver's wild. Devolver's great. Any kind of connection to Devolver would be pretty sick. I'm just saying, if we do our crazy Volvy game E3 whatever showcase next year, and we need some podcast hosts for some dumbness, listen, I know 2 guys are probably available, so we'll be talking Devolver.
Also, Volvy for the Game Awards.
Volvy for the game. Listen, if it beats fucking, was it Schlick? What's the fucking razor? Schick Hydro Man, whatever, from like 10 years ago. I'll take it. I'll take Volvy over the Razor Man. I was gonna say Schlick, but I was like, is it Gillette? It's some razor. I don't fucking know. But yeah, I mean, Balatro's what, 5 nominees there alone, which maybe I'm overconfident here. Literally 10 minutes ago, I posted a video about why Balatro should win Game of the Year, except on my TikTok, and like I would like to think this walks away with at least 2 of these, right? Like.
It should.
I think if I recall best debut, I think I voted Animal Well because I'm like, Balatro's going to win somewhere else. Best indie, I think I also gave I gave that to Neva.
Okay.
But
damn.
Yeah. But also Balatro. But then we had best mobile game, which listen, I know Pokemon trading card game is there, and I think it has a chance to win, but I would love to see Balatro be like, get fucked.
That would be so cool. Pokemon, who needs them?
I mean,
we've got Jokers.
I'm kind of obsessed, but I get the sentiment. I'm kind of obsessed. I like ripping packs, Tofr. I like ripping packs.
Oh, I get that.
But yeah, Game Awards. Those are on December 12th, I think. Yeah, December 12th, and I think the next one's the 19th, which we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, you gonna watch the Game Awards?
Probably not.
Fair enough. I get it.
I might just to see if they actually get female presenters.
Yeah, that's valid. If I recall, and I'm sure, like, I'm gonna sound ignorant here. I'm sure there's plenty that I can't think of. I just know every year we have the young lady from the Warframe studio. She's there every year. She's always showing up talking about the new stuff coming to Warframe. And though I don't fuck with Warframe like that, I like the grind. She's sticking to it, so kill it. But timestamp here. Now, let's talk about the real Game Awards, Tofr.
Hell yes.
Right after Geoff came out and announced his nominees for the Game Awards, our friends over at 6-1 Indie came out and announced the nominees for the Indie Awards taking place December 19th. Fuck November, isn't it? Thanksgiving's dumb. And we got all of our nominees here. Now, something we should note is that legally CGDannyB / Playlog podcast are judges for the Indie Awards, if you haven't seen that post. So the whole thing I was talking about earlier with the judges and voting and blah, blah, blah for the Game Awards, we're doing that for the Indie Awards, which is super exciting. Mike messaged me about that oh God, maybe back in like March, April or something about that. And then I had those nerves. I'm like, okay, we're getting close to the end of the year. Is Mike gonna message me back? Am I gonna get the email? Because like, what if I got cut? I'm so nervous. And then he was like, all right, you in, dog, let's go. I'm like, ugh, let's have it, baby. So we have I don't know all the details I can't talk about. We are voting actively on all the nominees that you're going to see here. So if anything goes wrong and your favorite doesn't win, blame all the other judges, because I'm sure I voted for the game you wanted, right? That's
yeah, of course.
But yeah, just to say,
represent.
Let's go, baby. Yeah, listen, Burb, I know you wanted it. We'll do a pretty quick run through. It's 15 categories, I think. Here are all the nominees and the categories they are in. Once again, Tofr, if you have anything to interject, just yell at me. Starting with best debut game, we have A Ranger, Little Guardsman, Little Kitty Big City, Lotto Knot, Mullet Mad Jack, and Worldless. Notable achievement in accessibility, we have Another Crab's Treasure, Elsie, Periphery Synthetic, Pine Hearts, SteamWorld Heist 2, and Surmount a Mountain Climbing Adventure. Music, we've got Core Keeper, Flock, Pacific Drive, The Cub, Thrasher, and Wild Bastards. Visual design, we have Bow Path of Teal Lotus, Crow Country, Harold Halibut, Haunty, The Plucky Squire, and Ultros. Bite-sized games, we've got Buckshot Roulette, Click Holding, Duck Detective, The Secret Salami, Minami Lane, Please Touch the Art 2, and Thank Goodness You're Here. We have Innovation with Cryptmaster, Karmazoo, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Oh Da Da, Rusty's Retirement, and UFO 50. We have Emotional Impact, which brings us In Stars in Time, Kind Words 2, Neva, Self-Lost, Thirsty Suitors, and Until Then. Gameplay design, we've got Balatro, Grun, Mini Shot Adventures, Nine Souls, Tiny Glade, and Victory Heat Rally. We've got community management, and these are the studios. We have Aggro Crab, Black Tabby Games, Local Thunk, Massive Monster, NPC Studio, and Pounce Light. For best narrative, we have 1,000 Times Resist, Arco, Caravan Sandwich, Fear the Spotlight, Last Time I Saw You, and Mouthwashing. Storyteller recipients will be announced during the indie game. Okay, that's a new thing. We didn't know about that one. I don't know. That's a new thing. So that's new to us. Women-led games, we have Gordlets, Key Locker, Love Ghosty, Mexico 1921, A Deep Slumber, Nightmare Cart, and Crimson Diamond. Best solo development, we have Aerial Knights, We Never Yield, Animal Well, Children of the Sun, Crypt Custodian, Knuckle Sandwich, and Magical Delicacy. Industry Impact will also be announced at the game. Okay, another new one. Again, we didn't know about that one. And then finally, we have the Game Awards, which has 10 nominees. We have 1,000 Times Resist, Animal Well, Arco, Balatro, Crypt Custodian, Lorelei and the Laser Eye, Mouthwashing, Neva, Nine Souls, and UFO 50. Now, we won't have an in-depth conversation because, again, I don't know the rules with the judging and whether we should say what we voted for or not. So we'll just say, hey, we're judging, and we'll see you at the Indie Awards. But how excited are you for the Indie Awards?
If you're wondering who Danny is going to vote for with the emotional impact, it's the one you think that it's going to be. Yeah. I'm not saying which one, but all of you who regularly watch Danny's streams or listen to this podcast will know.
Yeah. And if you haven't heard me talk about it, you're about to.
You will.
Yeah. I definitely plan to, I plan to react to the Game Awards, but I definitely plan to react to the Indie Awards when these come out on the 19th. I forget what time are these. These guys are at 7 p.m. Eastern. So we'll definitely be doing a live stream, watching those and everything. A reaction will go on YouTube after the fact, but I'm very excited for this one. Just to get to see all these indies. And we talked about this during our discussion, right? Off screen, no recording, etc. How so many more indies showed up here. Obviously, it's Indie Showcase, but it seems like, don't know if it was a hard rule, but it seems like maybe there's potential outside of actual Game of the Year, like one nominee per game. And I might be wrong if we go back and look, but like most of these categories all have different games, which though might be a little troublesome for some games that might deserve a little bit more than like, I don't want to say more than others, but a little more recognition depending on what they did. I like that I got to see like 50, 60 different games nominated here. Like, oh, cool.
That's true.
Like, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's a lot of games.
It is. I just can't believe that Tactical Breach Wizards is not among them.
Honestly, I blame the main judges. Now, we didn't get to build it. We're just voting on who wins. They had an official. I'm gonna pull a Geoff Keighley here. I'm not a part of that. But
I'm just gonna blame Geoff Keighley for this as well.
I will allow you. You can tweet at one of or all four. You could have Mike Townsrow, you can have Jenny Wyndham, you can have Jill Grote, or you can have Janet Garcia. You can attack them for no tactical breach wizards. That's all you.
I'm just gonna tag Geoff Keighley and be like,
what the fuck, Geoff?
Hey, look what you've done. No one is nominating tactical breach for this. What's up with that?
The joysticks did. The joysticks did.
Yeah, they did. They did.
The real show.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. I love it. It's a great time. But yes, we'll be talking more about the indie awards as we get closer to the event. Again, live reaction, etc., etc. But yeah, it's award season, baby. We're talking games.
Yeah.
I can clear my throat. Timestamp. God damn, brother. Now, last article, real quick. They're making a documentary for Animal Well, and it's coming to Second Wind. What the fuck is that? The group of the Escapist employees. Okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't read that article headline, so that was the first time seeing that. I was like, what? I'm like, is this a new streaming platform? What is this?
No.
So this is
for those who don't know, The Escapist is like mostly known for Zero Punctuation, the review show that doesn't hold anything back. But earlier, it was last year, I think. Practically all of the staff from The Escapist left because of I don't remember what drama it was, but all of them left, and they started a new channel called Second Wind, and they've been making similar content to what they did for The Escapist, and they have now created their first documentary.
So Second Wind is the YouTube channel then? That's the okay? Yeah. Bet. Hell yeah. That's so cool. I love that. Because I'm a big fan of No Clip and Danny O'Dwyer. I was like, oh God, I couldn't think of his last name. I love the stuff that they've done at No Clip. And if this is just more of that, I'm all in. Yeah.
It seems like Second Wind is trying to diversify a bit more with their content. They just released this video essay on Kojima and the Metal Gear series.
Ooh, okay.
Which was really interesting. It was I've watched a couple of video essays on those games, and this was one of the better ones, actually. They had some really interesting insights.
Hell yeah, dude. I love this. Is so cool. So real quick, the tweet is from Nick Calandra over on Blue Sky. Very proud to share the official trailer for our upcoming Animal documentary today. At Jared Isterret, apologize again if I butchered it, is handling edits on this one. Really proud of the interviews I did on this, as Billy Basso's story is one I think every developer will relate with on a very personal level. Animal Well, you guys remember there was a point I got frustrated because I went the wrong way, and I should have just backtracked, but I stuck with it. But I think Animal Well is such a special thing. And just looking at this is the first time seeing the trailer, it's on mute, so I have to go back and watch this then. But when I saw this in the doc, I'm like, this is very exciting because Animal Well is such. I feel like I've already known so much about the story just because Animal Well comes with that when you're talking about it. Where it's made by one guy, he did everything in it, and it's so much like Undertale when you talk about that, and you talk about Toby Fox doing everything, and Animal Well carries a similar stature to itself. And getting to see a full documentary talking about that has me very excited. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I get that. I'm especially excited because Second Wind, they do dip into indie games once in a while.
Okay,
but they mostly cover the AAA games.
Right.
So it's cool to see a channel that usually covers the bigger games create an actual documentary on an indie game.
Yeah, I love it. I love it so much because I'm sure we have plenty of them. Again, we have No Clip and stuff like that. But I remember watching Indie Game the movie, the one that focused on Super Meat Boy, Fez, and was it Braid? No, not Braid.
Could be Braid. I don't remember.
I know Braid's mentioned, but I forget if that's one of the highlighted ones. It's definitely Fez. It's definitely Super Meat Boy. It could be something else. Danny, you totally forgot about. I'm like, all right, of course, that one. But, yeah, no, I love a good indie documentary. These are great. I'm super excited to watch this one. Assuming it's on YouTube, that I don't know if I want to do a reaction to it. Maybe I'll do content. They said this in there, but we love it. We love it. Guys, Urgent Pigeon, follow me on Blue Sky. You should do that too. I digress though. But That timestamp is the quick indie news, which means Tofr. It's time to move on to the topic of the show. And I asked if you wanted to helm this one, so I'm going to take a nap.
Yes.
You talk.
Wait, but you have to answer questions and stuff.
Oh my God, fine. What?
No, I had this idea because we've been doing this podcast for nearly a year. And
Don't say that out loud.
I've been noticing I've been noticing how playing games to create content about them has impacted the way I play games. And I was very curious to like pick your mind and to like see how you feel, because you've been at it for quite a bit longer than I have.
Yeah, it's just smidge, just a little bit. But...
And I just want to like get a conversation about that going, because it, to me, like just to do some kind of intro here, I feel like I sometimes struggle with it.
Okay, just with covering games.
Yeah,
okay.
I love how I've gotten more access to games.
Yeah,
how I'm more aware of games that are releasing, and it's like it's so impressive just how many excellent games are releasing each and every week. But at the same time, I'm struggling a little, and it might have to do with the fact that my mental health hasn't been good for like the last 2 months.
Okay.
But I was wondering, like, I just wanted to see what it's like for you, because how you've been creating content for a number of years now, right?
Yeah, so well, if you want to go all the way back to a channel that I'm not ready to talk about, I'm not ready to share that dark past yet with my community. That's something we're going to keep in a cabinet for a while. I've been making like YouTube content since I was like 12, 13 years old.
Oh, damn.
So for me now, that's, how old am I? I'm 29. Quick math. A long time. But yeah, no, it didn't start as like gaming stuff, right? Like I remember watching, reviews aside, like Let's Plays anything was such a like thing that seemed past what I was capable of. If I wasn't a studio, I didn't think I could do that, because how am I going to record my gameplay? I remember trying to figure out how I could plug my PS2 into the VCR and put in a cassette tape so that I could capture my PS2 gameplay on a tape and watch it back. And I could never figure that out, because that's not how those things work. But I was like so interested in like, how do people do this? And then as you know, you progress and you're just doing screen recorder stuff with a janky laptop, to eventually be like, oh, it's just a matter of having like these 2 or 3 pieces of equipment, and it's definitely doable. So as far as gameplay content it was back in 2017, we started doing live streams on Twitch. But that was from just like, we have a PlayStation 4, we have a PS4 camera, and we have like a Yeti microphone plugged in the front. And it was just 3 dudes yelling into it. Terrible setup. If you go watch any of those old VODs, it's dog ass. It's not good. It's a bad time. But that's where like everybody starts. Like anyone who goes out and buys the camera, the mic, and everything on their first stream, like bad move. Because if you suck at it and it's not meant for you and you give up, you spend all that money on shit that you just improve as you go. But this isn't streamer advice session. But suffice it all to say, we technically got our first like review code one night. We were playing Gang Beasts, and the studio who gave us Treadnoughts, they hopped in the chat and they DM'd us like, hey, here's a copy of our game. It's a very like Towerfall Ascension, shoot each other with, you know, last man standing type deal. I never really thought of making a review of it, just play the game on stream, right? And that was a very exciting thing, because that was the first time a developer said, here's our game, please play it. Which like wasn't really something that ever crossed my mind at that point. Of course I wanted free games, free stuff to play, and etc. But that was the first time I was like, oh, this is an honor. Like somebody I've never heard of, this game I've never seen in my life, just got handed to me. And now I'm like, this is my responsibility. And it was tough, because the computer we had couldn't play the game and stream, so we had to play it up on my buddy's laptop, which did not run it very well. So the VOD doesn't exist, I don't think, unless it's in some weird Twitch archive somewhere. I definitely don't have it. But like the game was just it was bad. It like the VOD was not good. The game was good. The game was really fun. Our footage of it, not great. But at that point I was just like, we covered the game. That's great. And then I didn't get another review code until May, like 3 years ago. which would have been Mayhem and Mayhem and Single Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was doing a few reviews just like of AAA games. I did a Rage 2 one. I even outside of AAA, I did my Moonlighter one. I did one about how much I hated Y2K, a postmodern RPG. God, that game's ass. But yeah, Mayhem and Single Valley is kind of where it started, where I was like, I forget who gave the advice on YouTube, but they were just like, hey, if you're interested in the game, it doesn't hurt to ask. Go to Twitter, shoot them a DM like, hey, your game looks great. I'd love to cover it. 9 times out of 10, they probably won't answer. I've gotten that a lot. Mm-hmm. But as I continue to grow and everything, a simple DM, though I might not get a response, I do end up yielding more keys than if I just decided maybe someone will reach out to me. And seeing that growth, and this is getting long-winded, so forgive me, I'll get to a point here. But yeah, at this point in time, like it's not shocking for me to have anywhere between 8 to 12 games at any given time. Not all that come with like embargoes or anything like that. Like redacted, but like as we started, I got another review code. I'm like, oh, I got this game. Let's go. So like that excitement's still not lost on me. I still get this joy of like a game I'm looking forward to is in my inbox and like, oh, cool. They trust me with this key to play it beforehand, et cetera, et cetera. Well, at the same time, sometimes I'm getting emails from devs like I've never heard of them. They're making. And we're talking indie. We're talking like indie. We're talking like the small dude who made something very tiny, which I want to cover and I want to take the time to play. But sometimes those are really hard to make time for. And I'll circle this back to like the Game Awards, the big outlets cover the big zeitgeist stuff. It is tough to not want to just cover the big zeitgeist indies. You know, we're talking the Plucky Squires, the Nevas, the Nine Souls, the etc. But yeah, like even some of those like small little gems like you love so much, but like who's going to care about a game that 10 people have heard of or like 10 people have even seen and whatever, which sounds so negative, but like, yeah, sometimes it's tough to cover everything, let alone like the smaller stuff that's even smaller than the small guys. So
yeah,
I think that suffices the question.
I can imagine that, like, especially since you're still working on growing your own channel and stuff, that you have to be picky with which games to cover.
Yeah.
And it seems like a really delicate balance. Like, you want to cover the smaller games, but then you might not get the traction on your videos that you'd like, which doesn't help the developer either. Right. I get that it can't be easy. I struggled with that when I was still making TikToks. There was just so much that I wanted to check out and wanted to cover, but the thing is, I was working full time. Like, I was working 6 days a week back then. Yeah. And on top of those 6 days, I still wanted to make content, but then I was making content without playing the games because making content meant that I didn't have the time to play the games.
Right. Yeah. No, it's a vicious cycle, man.
It is a vicious cycle. And I feel like it's getting worse, which is a really poor way of saying this, because it's a real first world problem. Like, there are too many games.
Yeah, no, 100%. I felt that a lot.
Yeah, it feels like there are too many games right now. And I feel like we're seeing that in the numbers that some excellent games are getting on Steam. There's plenty of games that don't even reach 100 reviews, despite being really high quality. I do wonder though, like, what's the balance for you when it comes to playing games that you get keys for or that you feel obliged to cover? In comparison to the games that you really, really want to play yourself?
Yeah, it honestly, it could be half a dozen one week, 6 the other. Like everything, 1 week can feel one way and 1 week will feel the other, you know? So I'll, just a recent example, like we both have keys for Two Falls. I've started it. I think you were like, I haven't had a chance to touch it yet. And though I enjoyed that game a lot, like I had fun with what I've played and I want to see more of it. I immediately got a key for another game, which I'm like, oh, this is shit. Like, this is something I've been waiting for. So like in a perfect world, a game that I'm really excited about that I can get a key for is like perfect because I want to cover that. I plan to cover that. That's what I want to play. More often than not, when I get a key that I'm like, I'm not expecting, or like a little inside baseball for like the email process, right? When you get a key, either you're on something like a Lurk It or a key mailer, you request a key, they give it to you. There's an expectation of making cover in a certain amount of time, etc. Sometimes people email you, or you get up on like a press list and they're like, hey, we're getting ready to distribute keys for insert game here. You fill out a Google form. You're like, here's my name, here's my outlet, here's how many subscribers, followers, etc. I have. Here are my coverage plans, blah. You send that. When the game comes out, they send you the key. Then you play it. That's when I'm always like, it's redacted under embargo. There's a process for these games sometimes. Other times, a studio will be like, hey, I don't know if you heard of me. I'm interested. I want to know if you're interested in playing my game. Most of the time, I'm like, I have not heard of you, but it looks cool. Sure, I'll give it a shot. And sometimes I get the, hey, I don't know if you've heard of me. Like, yeah, I've heard of you. Like Eric from Black Mat Games, the guy making Lucid. He hits me up like, I don't know if you heard. I'm like, yeah, I've heard of you. What do you mean you don't know if I've heard of you? Yeah, of course I have, dog. Lucid looks great. But that was just like, hey, if you want to cover the game, a little like coverage here would be great. I'm like, absolutely, dog. I'll cover it this week. Like that's the plan. Sometimes those adrenalines of like, yes, the game that I have my eyes on has their eyes on me. Let's work together and do a thing. And sometimes it's another game will come along that's like, I would love to have you talk about my game. And then like, I look at the marker board. I'm like, yikers. We'll see. We'll see. I would love to. If I was more than one man with the ability to not have to sleep at night, I'd love to cover everything. But physically, it's not possible to play everything.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Like, what happens when you get like 4 or 5 keys in a week, and then you don't get a key for the game that releases that week that you really wanted to play?
Yeah. Sometimes I end up not playing them, which like puts us in the spot we're in now, right? Where we're like, it's game of the year conversation. I haven't played Caravan Sandwich. I'm making my way through Bow Path to Teal Lotus, but even though I started that, I got 3 other review keys that I'm trying to cover. So sometimes it's tough, and like Plucky Squire was one where like I didn't get a key for that, but it was on PlayStation Plus, which I'm subscribed to. So I'm like, oh, this is almost like I got a key. Just it comes with no obligation. It's the big indie that like people want to see. Most of the time I will try to prioritize a key that I got versus a game I want to play. Just because there's a, I hate to say expectation, but there's that like, hey, we like your content. We hope you like our game. Like we'd love that collaboration, that effort. Right. And most of the time these things don't come with a paycheck. Like you're not getting paid to cover games. So as much as people like to be like, they got paid for a good review. It's not how it works. It's not how it works. You play the game, you talk about the game. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, then you don't like it. I've complained about games, people. But yeah, no, I've definitely like missed games because I'm like, oh, I'll hit up a studio and either they don't check their Twitter DMs or their key mailer platform, like they don't check it. So like if I requested a key, they don't see it, so it never comes through, right? So then I'll be like, okay, so the game I wanted to play right now is in here, but I have 2 or 3 other keys. So rather than, and again, another first world content creator thing, rather than spend money on a game that I want, I'll just play the free game that I got, which isn't necessarily a negative thing. It's just like in a list of top 3, I'll play my 2 and 3 as opposed to my number 1, which maybe sounds bad, but yeah, that's kind of the path it takes a lot, where it's like play what I have as opposed to what I want.
I can imagine because especially since you stream a lot as well, you have to consider like what games are going to be good stream games.
Yeah,
because there are narrative games that are brilliant to play through yourself, but just do not work as a stream. But yeah, I did wonder because I feel like I have games in my backlog that I was the most excited for in an entire year, and I just do not get to play them, and it just sucks.
It does,
and I know I'm speaking from a position of luxury. I know, but it sucks. I have games from 2022 that I was like, this is gonna be my game of the year, and then I just didn't get round to playing them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like as I sit and look at just some of the games in my library that I have keys for, that I'm like, oh, this one looks great. I wanted to check this one out. I know I before we started, I set my alarm, like, check my emails. I know somebody sent me a key last week. I was like, this game looks really cool. I want to check it out. I haven't had a chance to play it, but they hit me up like, hey, did you get a chance to cover the game yet? And I got to be like, I have not. Sorry, game of the year time. I'm trying. I'll get to it. But like, I also I hate sending those emails because like, as much as it sounds like within a week I should get my chance to play a game, most of the time you don't. And like, no. I don't want to linger and be like, sorry, I'm not going to touch your game until next year when like game of the year conversation doesn't matter. But it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a full plate that we have to empty and then refill like right away.
Another thing I was wondering about is when you get keys, you usually try to like finish those games so you can give your honest opinion about them on the complete game. But do you feel like sometimes you struggle with getting through those games and that it impacts your enjoyment of gaming in general?
It certainly has done that. I don't know that I'd say it's super consistent. I think, and I'll circle this around like the content I enjoy. I'm a huge fan of Kinda Funny. And the reason I love Kinda Funny is because they are not the formulaic, here's why the game is good, here's why the game is bad, here's the score for it, right? And they just recently added a review score. I'm not a big fan of review scores. We could talk about that however we choose to. But I enjoy Kinda Funny because their content is like talking to a friend about a game. Like when I sit here and talk to you about why I like a game, why I don't like a game, it's not me being methodical of like, well, the jump lagged a little bit, so that kind of makes it a 5 out of 6 for this. But also, the gameplay it was pretty good in the loop, so that should be a 10 out of 10. But I wonder, it's not like that. It is a very like, if I'm talking to a friend who is like, this game looks interesting, how do you feel about it? I'm like, I do like this, I don't like this. Like, I like reviewing games as a conversation, not as a bullet list of things that are good and bad. And sometimes that's what a conversation becomes. But the amount of times when I play a game and I'm trying to think of one in recent history that I didn't like, that I'm like, I'll just put it down because I don't care. I'm sure there's been one, but like
Route Zero.
Oh yeah, well that's listen. I made an obligation. That was on me. I picked that damn fucking game for the fucking. That bit will never die. I'll always hate Kentucky Route Zero for the rest of my life. But like, yeah, like that was a struggle. Cause like I picked that for the book club because it was a game at like universally people loved. Everybody wanted, like, this game's so good, I want to play it. I spun it on the wheel of shame. I'm like, this does not look good for stream. I'll play it for the podcast, etc. To find out I did not enjoy it. Like very, very little did I enjoy it. And I use that I have to play this for the podcast to like finish it. Had I not been playing it for the book club and I was just like, oh, I'll talk about this on the podcast, easily would have dropped off after like chapter 1 or 2. Like I would have been like, I played this, I'm not liking it, I'm moving on. But definitely that was our September book club, somewhere in there. Yeah. And like, I'm trying to think what else could I play that month if I didn't put the 12, 15, whatever hours into Kentucky Route Zero that I can like, I really had a good time with this, but that was just the circumstance. It was for the book club, but yeah. But you, I haven't been doing the retort, like, how about you? But like, do you find you're like, I dislike this game, but I got to finish it because I got a key, or are you in a similar boat, or how do you handle it?
Well, I'm fortunate with the keys that I've received that they've been mostly games that I really enjoyed.
I get it.
I think like with the written reviews that I do for so many games, we give scores out of 5. Okay. And I think the lowest score I've given so far has been 3.5.
Okay.
Which is still decent, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So I feel like I've been fortunate with that. But I have had games where I was like, I'm enjoying this, but I would rather be playing something else.
Yeah.
Especially since my backlog, even just the backlog for this year, keeps on growing.
Yeah.
And
we still have 1 month left to go.
Yeah, we do. And I was thinking like, okay, early December is going to be really easy. There's not going to be a lot of releases. and then games start announcing their release dates for December, and I'm like, why?
Stop
Why
it.
do you do this?
Just wait till next year at this point.
Yeah, give us the time to play all of your games, damn it.
Yeah. Mom was trying to figure out Christmas gifts, and I'm like, I got nothing else. I was like, yo, what if we just ask for like $200 in Steam gift cards? Just make it happen. That might be the move.
Yeah, but I noticed that not only am I leaving games on my backlog that I do not want to leave there,
Mm-hmm.
I also don't find the time to like revisit games that I've loved.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that we're doing the book club now, which allows us to once in a while dive into a game that we've already played. But
Yeah.
still, that's one game for an entire month, and we don't do that every month. Sometimes we check out games that we haven't played yet.
Right.
And I miss those times. It feels like, and that was what gave me the idea for this conversation. It's starting to feel like games have become single-use products.
Yeah.
They're becoming content instead of the pieces of art that they are. I feel the same way with, like, for example, the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Okay. All right.
There are movies in there that I'm like, I would gladly revisit those, but with the amount of movies and television shows that they're constantly churning out, I don't have the time or the energy to revisit those movies that I actually loved, and I think that's a shame.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Marvel and games alike, right? Like we're trying to get through Agatha. We're like halfway, but I haven't watched. Like I have to finish Loki. I have to finish. I haven't touched Echo. Deadpool, Daredevil's next year, somewhere soon.
Next year, yeah.
So Daredevil coming around here. I'm like really excited for that, but yeah, I think with it going back to indie games, you had brought up last week when we like, what do we want to talk about, and came up with this conversation. You had mentioned the like games becoming content over art, and like sometimes that's definitely true, and I think I try to make sure that me playing it is the art part and me finishing it is the content part, right? Where like typically, and it's not even in my room at the moment, what I'll often do is I have a little notepad next to me because I'm a little better with tactile than typing, just kind of soaking it in. But while I'm playing a game, I'll have, blinds drawn, lights low, whatever, and I'm playing the game, and like something happens, I'm like, oh, that was really cool. Scribble. I'm like, ooh, that was really bad. Scribble. And then like as I get closer to finishing the game, I kind of review my notes. I'm like, I did feel about this at the beginning, but I got used to this, and like I'll kind of highlight how I want to discuss it. But most of the time as I'm playing through, I have OBS, which we used to record, that's open, just set to capture whatever game I'm playing. And I have a hotkey for replay buffer where I'm just like, something happened, boom, save the last 3 minutes, boom, save the last 3 minutes. So every game we cover, I have like hours of footage. Sometimes that footage doesn't see the light of day because we'll like talk about a game for like 2 minutes and be like, hey, I got all this. I'm like, man, I had an hour and a half of footage. Yeah, well, it's gone now. And that could be used for like game of the year video or TikToks and stuff like that. But yeah, no, it is tough, right? Especially because when you get a key, like the intent is content. Like if I could think of the number of games I've gotten to play that I haven't necessarily done like a full TikTok or full YouTube review, but thinking about they might have been a conversation here in the podcast, and because it's not like the thumbnail, game that we're talking about, no one will know that we talked about it, right? Like I'll go back to Two Falls. Like I haven't had contact with the devs since I played it. For all they know, they're just like, this guy didn't even fucking touch our game. To be like, we talked about it on this podcast, just like not necessarily anyone's going to go out of the way to click on Two Falls when they can click on, was that what week? Was that our play, save, burn? Yeah. Yeah. So like, that's the thumbnail thing. Right. But in that we talk about, this cool game that people should check out. But then I think I should have taken more time to convert that into like another video, whether that be a cut that out for YouTube or make it a TikTok. So there is like, this is directly about that title, but then you're talking about the time it takes to play the games and then cover the games and then make the content for the games. I still have to make multiple pieces of content for the other game. It's a lot of steps, a lot of extra work.
Exactly.
Yeah. And as like an individual, like obviously, we flash back to when the podcast started, like you had just made a TikTok about like, hey guys, it's a little overwhelming for me. It's too much work. I can't really do it, but go follow CGDannyB instead. And I had a list of like people on my desk where I had you, I had Dolly Plays, who I think she's been taking a break for a while. She hasn't really done anything, but I was just like, I would love to talk to like one of these people or both these people about doing a podcast. And that's when you put your video out. And I was like, hey, I know you just kind of quit, but like, what if we did a podcast? You're like, okay. So I was like, okay, man. Hell yeah. But yeah, no, it's a lot of work. And like, I'm not going to sit here and be the guy that's like, oh, content creation is harder than the regular 9 to 5. Like, listen, it's a lot of work. There's definitely a mental toll to content creation with the numbers and getting everything done, like 100%. But I'm not going to sit here and say my job's harder than anybody else's. Like, just teach their own. But yeah, it's a lot of steps to take every single time you just want to play a game and tell your friends, your family, your community how much you like it or dislike it, to then move right on to the next one and do it again and again and again every day. So it's a lot.
Yeah, I like, and that's what I meant with there being so many games to cover that it becomes hard to keep up. I noticed like in the last couple of weeks, you did your video for the November releases, and then you did shorts or TikToks for a couple of games as well, and then you have your streams, and then you had the charity stream. Like, damn. I was getting tired just watching all the work you put in.
It's a lot, and like you try and recycle, right? Like every month I do the here's 10 games or 15 games or whatever. Do I have 15? I do 15. Here's 15 games coming out this month, which most of those will end up getting converted into TikToks, YouTube Shorts, etc. So I have like a formula now where I make the full video, and then I have a sub sequence in there where I'm like, copy this, smack it, copy. Oriented like this, and then just put in the captions, and then I can export, upload. But then I have to find the logo, and I'll be real, indie games, sometimes they might be the worst because not all of them have media kits, so they don't have a logo. So if they don't have a logo, I have to open the image in Photoshop and then cut it out. And sometimes they're not the best quality pictures, so I can't just do select subject. I have to like trace the whole thing. I'm like, God damn it, this isn't good. But when those come up, it takes a little bit longer. But I try and do as much of like the robot of like, here's the night, get all the logos, get all the background art, slap it into Premiere, export. I don't feel like doing 40 captions today. I'll do these 3. Once I post the first one, do the next 3. So I try to make it this well-oiled machine to cover the stuff on YouTube, which typically is the ones that performs better. TikTok's been a lot less successful with like just overall views. But like it's always within the 500-600s, if not higher, for these like monthly release videos, which I'm comfortable with. I like that these indies are getting a platform, and I hope it just continues to grow like that. But it would be realistically a waste of the platform if I don't at least find something to put on there. So if I don't take the time to make independent stuff, the people on TikTok who aren't on YouTube still get a chance to see like, oh, here's a game that he talked about. Whether they scroll past it or not, it's still something we covered, right? So. And then some of those games get delayed, so we got to just turn them into a not available today, but look at this game coming out soon, which we'll talk about one later.
Sometime soon.
Sometimes.
No, but I'm really impressed, and I'm not saying this because I'm biased, but I'm really impressed with like how you're keeping up with the insane amount of releases.
Yeah,
keep coming out with like high quality videos. Because I mean, it's not your full-time job,
right?
It would be easy to say like, I'm not gonna do this, I'm tired.
But
I have other things to do, and yet you keep giving these games the platform that they deserve.
Yeah, I try to, right? And like I've definitely had there's definitely days where I'm like, today we're getting this done, and then as I sit down here, I'm like, nah, I'll do it tomorrow. And like those, more often than not, those like 15 upcoming game videos, those are done like the day of or the night before. Like, and I've been getting tired of those. So I have like an alarm now. It goes off on the 20th of every month. It'll go off tomorrow and be like, hey, get your shit done. So I can try to be more productive and get the script, get the footage, work on it. So I have 10 days. So that way on the last day of the month, I'm not rushing to get the whole video done. And then be like, I'm tired. I'll just put it out on the 5th or whenever the first game comes out or whatever. Like I would love to have them out on the 1st every month, but often, or like more often than not, it's a struggle sometimes. And then I've been working on a script for here's 10 indie games I found on Blue Sky. Now that we're all moving to Blue Sky, and I'm like, here's ones I didn't know about until I got on here. I've played 3 different demos, which I'd like to do, rather than talk about on the podcast, do like, here's some demos I played for upcoming games and make that a separate, YouTube video and splice those into TikTok. So, even as I sit here, I've organized my wallpaper and I would love to show people, but redacted stuff, so I can't. But I put like little bubbles on my desktop wallpaper. So I have like a demo section, a stream this game section, just the stuff I play on repeat, the monster problems, the marbles, the Balatros, etc. I have my review section. I'm like, this has to get a review. The uninstall, like I finished this, get it off your computer so you can make room for the other 10 games you have to do. So I try and keep myself organized, but the ADHD also likes the disorder sometimes. I just kind of know where everything needs to go when I need it. But
yeah, but basically, like this entire conversation, I could boil it down to one question. Would you go back to just playing games for fun over doing it the way that you're doing it now?
I think if we asked the Danny who is still playing AAA games, absolutely. I think, though, I love streaming. I enjoy having chat and everything. Like, I think some of those bigger experiences are ones that, like, I don't necessarily want to have the conversation while I'm playing it or plan to talk about it with someone after the fact. But, like, because these indies are so much more special, right, in the way that they're designed with typically one person or a small team's like heart into it, right? Like they're telling their story, something that's coming from their mind, their heart, their perspective on things. I think there's so much more to talk about and there's so much more to feel in playing games like that, which is why, like, we talk about, always bring up In Stars in Time, because that's just a recent game. That's just a recent game that's like, holy shit, this just hits so many things. And it is so accessible is not the word. It's just so open to like different walks of life and different people of different sexual orientation, different gender identities, whatever. Like it covers so many different people in this one game that feels so intense and incredible, and it's a lot to handle, especially for some that might have mental health issues. But I would always say, like, hey, if you think you can power through it, if you think you can experience it, and you have to stop at a point, like, please do. But like, this is such a game that I was so not. One of the emails I got that was like, "Are you interested in the game?" Sure, never heard of it, but let's try it. I'm like, holy fuck! I almost like if I had the Plucky Squire at the time, if I had another big game at the time that I was like, I'm gonna play this instead. Like, there's a chance I could have missed that. And that's why I love the indie email bombs. I love those because I might miss something. I might not get to play something, but sometimes I do get to play something. I'm like, holy crap, people, play this goddamn game.
I feel like this might be a book club game in the future.
Listen, let's go, baby. It starts the time. Kids, you better get ready because you better be fucking playing this game with us. I swear to God.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet. So.
Oh God, I love it so much. It made me cry. It was the game where I would sit here at night and like right now, like I typically leave lights low, but it was lights off. It was me and the computer. That's all that was on. And I'm just like, what's happening here? What's going on? And I'm voice acting, right? They're having these emotional monologues, and I'm sitting here. I'm like, I'm this character. I'm doing this. Oh my God! And then like I would screen record, and then total unrelated, I was supposed to be in like an audio like drama type thing that totally just fell off. Everyone disappeared. But I used one of the monologues from In Stars in Time for my audition. And I'm like, God, I'm a fucking boss. I should be an actor. But yeah, I love In Stars in Time. It's definitely a gem. I need to like find where it falls in like my favorite games of all time. If that's a top 10, top 25, top 100, it's definitely a top 100. No lie. But
it's great to see how you haven't lost like even an inch of your enthusiasm for indie games, despite having to play so many of them.
Yeah, yeah. I think honestly, I think that's what's great with the podcast, right? Where I get these struts where I get to do like the reviews, the ones where I'm like, it's me talking for 4 to 8 minutes about the game, what I like, what I didn't like. Here's the perks, here's the cons, the blah blah blah. But at the end, here's how I feel about it. No review score, just genuine, just my thoughts on the game. If you like it, if you don't, blah blah blah. But then like we were talking about like best indie games, Clemmy, right? Where like Clemmy's content is lists. It is here's 10 RPGs, here's 10 whatever, here's 10 games in November, here's like the same videos that I make, like here's the releases, that Clemmy does that every day, which I don't know Clemmy as a person. I don't know how they get to play games or talk about games. Like what I see is I get a newsletter in my email that's like, here are a bunch of games coming out. And I get a video where you read the Steam descriptions and talk about what the games are, right? So I don't know how often they get to play games and discuss games. But I know for me, if the only thing I got to do was talk about those games releasing every month, like I would not enjoy this the same way, because I wouldn't get to experience the games. I get to look at them like, that looks kind of cool. On to the next one. Like that's even more than what we talked about, right? With having too much to play. It's just having too much to talk about and not playing any of it. So, and Clement, if you're listening, you're like, yo, you guys are off base. Fuck you guys. And you will come on here and fight me. Let's fight, brother. Let's fight. But no, yeah, like that definitely looks like a lot of effort. I don't know if he's a solo situation. I assume he's got some kind of team backing him up with all that, but
I don't think so. Like,
no, genuinely just him, them.
I think so. I think he made a video, or it was a newsletter, where he said that he gets home from his day job and makes the videos every single day. And he has like a family. Yeah. He has a wife and kids, or one kid at least.
Yeah. Power to him.
I wonder how he'd like that's he's one of the inspirations for this conversation as well.
Yeah.
Because I remember like when I still did the TikToks, I tried to make 3 videos each week.
Yeah.
One of them would be the releases for that week, and then 2 would have like certain topics. And it was just too much. I could not keep up, because I wanted to like make the videos, but I wanted to have played the games so I could actually form my own opinion on them, and not just echo someone else's thoughts or just read Steam introductions. I wanted to like have something meaningful to say, and
exactly.
This podcast has been such a blessing in that sense, because it allows me to like have this conversation, and like you mentioned, it's just 2 friends talking about games that we love.
Yeah.
And yeah, it has brought back my enthusiasm, where I had lost it a bit before we started the podcast.
That's right. Rejuvenating, baby. We out here. Playlog saving lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
No, I know you're joking, but with the way my mental health has been fluctuating over the time that we've known each other, and especially with it plummeting in the past 2 months, these recordings have been like highlights of my week. Yeah, I have this, and I have like the my time at Sandrock moments with Daphne.
Okay.
And it's like these moments really just like give me life.
I love that. I love that, dog. And like, I can't say like we should do the podcast for that like intent, right? But that's one of those things where I'm like, we started this podcast because I didn't have people to talk to about indie games. The amount of times I would be sitting in Discord playing an indie game and someone's like, what is that? Or generally just not express any interest at all, and just like not be interested in hearing what game I'm playing. I'm like, fuck, I need to talk to someone about this. Like I want to, and then you make the TikToks and like they might get 2 comments. It's like, this looks cute. Oh, okay. Or like someone just held the button too long, so he just left 3 laugh emojis, so it's not an actual comment, it's just like an automated thing. I'm like, God, someone talk to me about this game. And that's when I got invited on all these different podcasts with Jacob McCourt with Crossplay Conversations. I haven't been on Left Behind yet, Jacob. What are we doing for Left Behind? Huh? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? I know y'all did True Colors. Bring me on. We'll find something. But like Left Behind Game Club is one, but Crossplay Conversations, 6-1 Indie. I've been on the Boss Rush guys, Overthinking Podcast, and like those are the spots where I'm like, oh cool, like-minded people where I get to talk about these games because they know what I'm talking about. And like, again, no shade to like the streamer boys, but like in a comparable conversation, like the funny joke is like, Danny, I wish you knew more about indie games because I'm the one who does know about indie games. And they make the joke when like they find a new one. I'm like, yeah, I know that one. Like, did you? You didn't tell me about it. Like just, like 2 days ago, Kanai goes up on Steam and finds Trash Goblin. I'm like, Danny, how could you not tell me about Trash Goblin? And I said some inappropriate things. I'm like, motherfucker, what do you mean? I'm talking about Trash Goblin for months. And he's, but yeah, no, I love that this platform exists again, so that we can have conversations. But like hearing you say that like it's been helpful for you is also great, because never the intent to help you. This was for me personally, but to know that just talking about games with someone is like beneficial in your life is like really cool. And like another reason why we go back to like, would you stop? I'm like, nah, I couldn't. I want to keep doing this, right? Until we're making cash money, baby. Indie, start paying up. Where you at, Devolver? $2 million today. I'll plug Crush House.
Listen, you're a Serenity Forge creator already. You should become a Devolver creator as well.
Listen. I don't know if they have a program like that, but if they do, Devolver.
They should.
Shop.
They should make it for you.
I'm in. Listen, hopefully I'm on the list now, dog. I've requested a lot of Devolver keys. The first one I got was Neva. So if I'm officially in there being the cool cat now, Devolver will be done. What am I doing?
They were like, never say never. And...
Never did say never. Oh man. No, that was good. I love that topic. Yeah, when you brought that up last week, I'm excited we got to kind of talk about that. And I would love to do definitely more like discussions, because we do a lot of lists, which I won't say no to lists. I love a good list. But I think where we can sit and talk about something is also like really great. So
absolutely.
Yeah, you guys watching, if you have any other topics you'd love to hear us discuss about, you know, games, the indie space, etc., like be sure to let us know, and we'll be sure to put on a list of things to discuss, because I think we're two well-rounded, smart individuals and have a nice conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
But boom, timestamp, baby, which means we should probably talk about what we've been playing. Now you got two, I got one, which means you have to go first. So
I have to go first.
You have to. So
let me start with Beastieball then, because we talked about it last week. Well, you talked about it last week.
Yeah.
But I can now confirm everything you said was true. This game is such a blast. It brings back the nostalgia for the creature collectors from my youth. But and it remembers what was fun about those games.
Absolutely.
It's not about getting good and getting the right tactics. No, it's having a fun gameplay loop, having excellent music, having fun graphics, and just having a good time. This isn't the game that's gonna be like, ooh, have the most tactical depth or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just fun. You get to see these creatures playing volleyball for some reason.
What they do.
Just a good time.
Yeah, it's so much fun, and like I've had to kind of force myself to put it down a little bit as we get to like game of the year conversations, and we're kind of in the like, does early access count? But while we're on the fence on early access, I'm like, okay, we should focus on like a 1.0 full release games. But yeah, I'm having such a blast. I think I'm like 4 or 5 gyms in at this point. I'm meeting all these new creatures. I just got to a point, not really a spoiler, but there's like an NPC meet where he's like, hey, I see your Pokemon's like, or your beastie is like, kind of wants to train with me. You mind if I take him for a while? And like the first thing I had, I don't know how much you watch like the Pokemon anime, but the Ash is just notorious for being like, all right, go train with this guy. I'll see you again someday. And then we never see him again.
Never see him again.
Primate, where's Primate, Ash? You can go back and get him. And we're just, we got Butterfree, Lapras, et cetera, like, but I'm just afraid. I'm like, listen, if you take my beastie and I don't get that beastie back, I'm fighting, because they were kind of an MVP. But if they come back like 20 levels higher, ready to go, I'm like, let's battle, baby. Let's have it. Yeah. Which starter did you end up taking?
Which
starter did you end up taking?
I think the same one as you.
Little Axolotl?
Yeah.
Damn, man. I need someone on the planet with bad taste so you can take the wrong choices so I can know how good they are.
No, but like the presentation of this game is just so joyous. And I'm having a hard time putting it down as well. Even though I have so many games still to play.
No, I've edited a video, but I want to play Beastieball after this.
Yeah, same. Although I just bought Toads of the Bayou, which I really want to get into as well. But Beastieball is right there.
It is. It's a hard life. Have you tried playing it on Steam Deck yet? Or you've only played on...
I am playing it on Steam Deck,
Okay.
and it works perfectly.
Hell yeah. I had not launched it on Steam Deck yet. I've only played it on my desktop, so good to know. Hell yeah.
This is a really good Steam Deck game. Like, put on something you want to listen to, although the music in this is really good as well.
Yeah.
So.
It's a lot of them are very familiar. There was one that I can't think of what town it was in game, but I'm like, this sounds like something from Pokemon Black and White. Like this one sounds like a song from Mario. Like it definitely is very similar. Probably not ripped, but I'm like, oh, this sounds just like that one.
I don't think Lena Raine would steal music.
Oh no, not at all, absolutely not. Would never accuse.
She's like,
would never accuse.
No,
her.
she's like one of the most iconic indie game composers.
I didn't say she did.
I think it might, but I think it might be like a conscious decision, in that this game feels like a tribute to classic gaming.
Yeah.
So maybe it is a conscious choice to like evoke memories of those games.
And they're nailing it. This game's so good.
Yeah.
This game's so good. And I'm interested, right? And like, if this is the turning stone of early access, I'm here for it. Because like, I don't know how game complete this game is. I don't know if I can beat it and roll credits and then see my name as a Kickstarter backer. I assume, to some degree. But like Hades 2 was like near complete with just missing assets. This game feels near complete with just like some of the monsters aren't fully animated. They just have like a still frame, or like they'll cut to black and white because their art's not done. Whereas like some of them are animated and dancing, they kind of stand still and everything. But like that aside, like everything I've touched and seen has felt complete. Like the game runs, and like I'm not sorry, there's a brick wall here because you can't come this way. Like game feels good. Game feels solid.
It does. It really ups like the level for other early access games.
Yeah. You heard them, team. Let's go. Early access means something new now. None of these half-finished games.
No.
Sorry, Windblown. I didn't mean
also, I feel I have to mention that I received a key
good,
for this one.
Important to note. Yep. Although I think legally yours is okay, because I guess I technically paid for your key, but I don't know. But just to be safe.
Just to be safe.
I felt bad. They sent me a key in my email, and then I was like, so where's my Kickstarter key? And then I checked, like, here's your Kickstarter key. I'm like, oh, I redeemed the other one, so here you go, Tofr. My only concern was that, like, maybe the Kickstarter key is like, oh, you get the special Kickstarter back bling, but that's only with the key. And I'm like, Tofr has my back bling. What the fuck?
It'll be my name in the credits now.
Dog, listen. All due respect, I love you. I'd be pissed if I roll through there and I see Play Nice Kids instead of CGDannyB. I'm sending some strongly worded emails. Oh boy. Let's see.
Now I was wondering something. The game that you've been playing this week, is it trying to kill you?
It is absolutely, most definitely trying to kill me. So the game I've been playing this week is called Is This Game Trying to Kill Me? I did receive a key for this one for review, so thank you so much to the devs for setting me up with that. I am a sucker for escape room simulators. I loved Escape Academy, Escape Room Simulator proper. I was a big fan of. This is a game where you end up in this cabin in the woods. You're not sure what you're doing there, and there's just this big ghost guy. He's like, you want to escape? You could try. Just solve the puzzles. I have a computer game right there. Just go play it. And you're playing in both first person in this actual 3D environment, and you're also playing in this top-down puzzle game. Everything you do in the game affects the outside world, and then vice versa. So sometimes in the game you unlock a chest, and the game's like, there was nothing in there. But you also know there's a red chest inside the house. And if you go there, you find the item you need for the next room. Inside the game, there'll be these different puzzles. Like there's one with a platform where you have to move it. But inside the game, they only have left, right, and down. But you have to move it up. You're like, what do I need to do? To find out, there's a button in the real world that you have to press to go up. So you kind of have to like dance around all these different objectives. I speed run through the beginning of this game because it was the demo, the thing I'd already played. I knew exactly where to go. As I got to like the new stuff, it did, I say slow me down, not in the point of like the game's a slog, of like, okay, now I have to think because this is all new territory. I have to figure out what I have to do. And I enjoyed solving every puzzle in this game from beginning to end. Like there were some that kind of slowed me down, And if you asked to pass, Danny, I would have struggled. Like, no, I don't want the hints. Don't give them to me. Don't bother telling me this. I would get some puzzles where I figured out like how to start it, but I'm like, I'm not sure how to end this. If you hold Y and you just hold the button, it'll just unveil like Polaroids. That'll just give you the hint. And once I'd open one, they'd show me like, there's a hole in the wall. I'm like, got it. And I'd like close it, run over, boop, bop, plug this in, move this over here, slide this. All right, next room, let's go. It's really fun. And then it gets like kind of meta where like you'll complete certain chapters. You're like, seems like your game's paused. I guess you have to go fix it by doing something else in the world. And then you go and do that, right? And it's really enjoyable. I've not played a Stately Snail game before. We had Indie Maniac on a few months ago, and he was talking about this game in particular came up along with some other Stately Snail games. But this being my first one, pristine. I have like no complaints about it. I loved it.
Hey.
Anyone who just loves those first person kind of puzzle games of just like escape rooms and period, like it's great. So much fun.
Yeah, I remember you really enjoying the demo, so I can assume that the rest of the game lives up to what the demo already showed you.
Absolutely. And like I said, there's parts where I'm like, I'm struggling because I got to figure out what to do. But again, never at any point did the game like hide accessible knowledge. Like it wasn't just like, oh my God, how could I possibly have figured this one out? Sometimes there'll literally be riddles that are just like, do this thing. And I'm like, do this thing? Oh, literally do this thing. Okay. And then you do the thing, boom, you completed it. So, yeah, the game, it's sick. It's super dope. I was playing through it while binging the latest season of Karate Kid or Cobra Kai. And I'll tell you, that was an afternoon to enjoy. Cobra Kai and an escape room game was really, really fun. Really enjoyed that afternoon. I'd probably say 5, if you're good at it, maybe 5 hours if you're good at solving the puzzles. I had to see how long it took me in particular, but somewhere in that ballpark.
It like for some reason I'm getting Inscription vibes from this game. Does it have that same kind of eerie, spooky feeling to it? Or is it more like a basic escape room?
It's definitely more on the escape room side of things. It's not as like, you don't have the simple chessboard movement of Inscription or anything like that. There's no like cards or anything to play with, maybe for a particular puzzle, but like not anything like consistent. I think tonally it's got a similar thing to Inscription. I think Inscription is probably a little bit creepier. This kind of has a simple horror vibe, I guess. Like this game wasn't jump scaring me. It wasn't like doing anything like that. You just have like the guy who owns his cabin's kind of creepy. I sure hope he doesn't eat me or anything, but he's got fangs. He's probably going to try to eat me. Like I just got to be careful when that happens. So, yeah, mostly. And there are occasional moments like in the computer game, there's like boss encounters, which are kind of coupled with like just dodge, almost reminiscent of like Undertale combat, where like you're in a box and you have to dodge projectiles coming at you, but then like buttons will show up, and when you step on the button, like it'll do fire, ice, poison, something like that to the enemy. And as you progress, sometimes you're like, you might have to pay attention to things because some of these effects might not work. I wonder what it could be. I don't know. But then you figure it out. You're like, got it. I'm about to trounce this bitch.
All right.
Yeah. So let me see. Timestamp this as I try and find. I can't find the game in my library, Tofr. I think I lost it.
No.
Hold on. No, I don't want that one. I want. Is this game trying to kill me? Yeah. 4.7 hours is how long it took me to beat. So, and that's with stopping to watch intense fights in Cobra Kai. I'm like, oh my God, what is he doing? But yeah.
Okay.
Oh boy. Let me do a real timestamp because
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Like,
yeah. It's a fun time, dude. But I need to know about this other one because I'm a big fan of Limbo Lane. So tell me a little bit about Great God Grove.
Great God Grove is a really good time.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Oh yeah. Basically, the story goes that every number of years, I don't remember the number, a giant rift in the sky threatens to destroy the world. But every time the gods come together to close that rift and as to avoid an apocalypse.
Okay, hell yeah.
which is good. As
Yeah,
humans, we should be grateful for
yeah.
that.
And the apocalypse, I don't want to
But
die. I mean, not right now.
no,
But...
but this time round, when you arrive at the grove, the rift is back,
Mhm.
but the gods seem preoccupied because
Gods.
the god of communication. Wow, I have a bachelor's degree in communications management, and I couldn't say the damn word.
That's okay. I just have a tongue that doesn't work sometimes. It happens.
But yeah, King, the god of communication, who is usually really kind to
Mm.
the other gods, has all of a sudden just written every god a rather upsetting letter and then disappeared.
Shit. I love
Yeah,
that.
and all of the gods are like, and all of the gods are now like preoccupied with what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
Like usually, King is like someone we can rely on to tell us things as they are, and now we don't know what to believe.
What are they doing? Their gods aren't listening.
Yeah. And it's up to you, since when you arrive to the grove, the mail delivery system that King uses, what's it called again? The
The
megapon.
megapon.
Yeah, it gets dropped into your lap, literally. As you're on the boat nearing the grove, it just falls into your lap, and you have to use it to try and get the gods to like come together again and fix this problem before the world ends. How do you do that? Using the megapon, it basically works like a hoover. You hoover up items, but you can also hoover up quotes, things that people say. And it's mostly those quotes that you're going to use to get people to do things for you. And then like it's basically a fetch quest game. You go to this place, you collect this quote, you go to the other person, you throw the quote in their face, literally, and they end up helping you out. Or maybe they won't, and you have to find another way to get them to help you out. You travel from village to village doing so, because each god lives in a different village. And the end goal at each village is to talk to the local god and get them to like listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, I'm not gonna spoil too much of the story here,
Okay.
because it's fun to get to know like what's actually going on as you play.
Yeah.
But it's such a good time. Like the system with the hoovering up words is so much fun. It might sound a bit difficult when I explain it like this, but it really isn't. Like, for example, you can't hoover up anything that they say. It's
Okay.
only select quotes that are available to hoover up.
Okay.
For example, in the beginning of the game, you have to cross a bridge, but there's a lady on the bridge who's like, I'm not leaving my spot until my lover tells me that he loves me. Until he finally confesses his true feelings. So you go to the person that she's dating, and he's like, "Oh man, I can't tell her that I really love her." And then you hoover up the "I really love her," go back to her, and then you make her happy, and then you get to move on because she finally clears the bridge.
Let's
That's
go.
basically the logic of the game. And it gets a bit more complicated than that as you progress through the game, but it usually boils down to like this kind of gameplay. Yeah,
Hey, dude. Have you beaten it yet? Have you come roll credits, or are you still?
I haven't beaten it yet.
Okay.
I'm over halfway,
Cool.
so
Cool.
I feel like I got a good feel for the game already.
Bet.
It might get a little samey for some people.
Okay.
Because basically you're doing the same thing over and over, collecting the words,
Sure.
going to people, but the game never lets it become too repetitive.
Okay.
There's
I like
always there's always some kind of twist to the story, some reaction that you're not expecting. It took me a while to figure out, for example, that some of the quotes are really literal. what I mean by that is, for example, you can hoover up the words "open your eyes,"
Okay.
and then you go to a person that's sleeping, and if you throw "open your eyes" at them, they actually open their eyes.
That sounds horrifying. I'm just trying to sleep, and I'm just looking snap open, but I'm still like out like a light. Like I don't like it. I don't want that.
Yeah, but, like before I realized that I could do that, I was just like trying to shout at them.
Okay.
And get them to wake up that way. But none of that worked.
Okay.
I was like, what the hell is going on? And then I found out that you can just tell them to open their eyes and they will. But yeah, it tells an interesting story, and like it's a really interesting critique of hearsay and how hearsay can turn into misinformation.
Yeah.
And that feels really appropriate for the times that we live in.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. I also loved the visual style of it.
Yes.
Like most of the game has like this mixture of Paper Mario and these Saturday morning cartoons. It's very colorful and vibrant. You also, for some reason, have these segments with puppets.
Yeah.
And they don't really do anything except add to the lore a bit.
Yeah.
That you could easily skip them, but the thing is, they're so much fun because there's so much going on in them, and you're like, why is this happening? Why are they eating a sandwich right now?
It's good.
Like
good sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Limbo Lane. I really loved Smile for Me, which I think is older. It came out on PlayStation like last year or the year before, but it came out on PC I think a couple years before that. But like I was a big fan of that one. I platinumed it twice on PS4 and PS5. I love the style, the characters, the puppets, the way you kind of have to outthink the puzzles when they aren't as straightforward. Smile for Me is a lot more of like you are in like in insane asylum might be the wrong terminology to use there, but like you're in a building, everyone's held captive, and you're like you're not allowed to leave until you can smile again. But like we're not really given the resources to allow people to smile again. But like that's where you come in and you're like fixing everybody's day and like, oh, I smiled, awesome. But like, hey, stop making people smile, and like that, that's how that plays out. And this just seems like cool, we figured it out here. Let's double down and like let's change the perspective. Let's add new mechanics here. The Megapon. I loved the demo for this one. And this, or talking earlier, like this is the one like I didn't receive a key for this one. I'm like, all right, let me play the ones I have a key for before I grab.
I did, by the way.
Go, good. Yeah, I don't know if we mentioned. Yeah, so yeah, we did a key. It's on the dock. I promise. But yeah, so Limbo Lane. I'm just saying, if you want to set me up on the key too, I got a lot to play, but. Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it. It sounds fantastic. The demo I think only had like the bridge you're talking about, like the telling me he loves me, and then I think you meet like the nun bird lady. I forget what god that is. I think that's all I got to play in the demo. So
that's basically the first village.
Yeah, bet. Cool. Yeah, let's go, baby.
But listen, I'm just saying, like, this is the third game published by Fellow Traveler this year.
Oh my god, Fellow Traveler!
And it's the third banger.
Let's go. What was the first one?
1,000 Times Resist and Times in Galaxy.
Right. Okay, that is Times in Galaxy. I said, I'm like, what was the other one? Okay. Hell yeah. Fellow Traveler. I think someone from Fellow Traveler follows me on Blue Sky, so I'm kind of a big deal.
Ooh.
I don't remember who, because not to sound a little gloaty,
but because you're such a big deal, you can't keep track of who's following
you. Kind of a little bit. I'm just saying, in the matter of like a week, I'm almost at 600 followers, which is what I've had on my Twitter like my entire lifetime. So I blame the starter packs. Those things are pretty great. They
I know, right? I'm already over 400 followers. I think only my TikTok account has had more.
Dude, this guy's great. This guy's good. And then you see people on Twitter still crying. They're like, okay, all the libs going over to fucking Blue Sky. You could have them. They're in a freaking a funnel where they don't get to hear the truth. I'm like, I don't fucking care what you think. I'm going to talk about any game. Shut your mouth.
Yeah. Because Twitter, Because Twitter obviously isn't this echo chamber of people telling each other the same thing over and over.
Oh, fucking
Come
weirdos.
on.
Anywho, timestamp. That's what we've been playing. Let's see here as we round out down here. Let's get into the indie games releasing this week. This for the week of November 22nd through November 28th. We have Spirit Mancer on November 22nd for PlayStation, Switch, and PC. We have Nine Souls finally making its way to console, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch on November 26th. We have Critter Cafe November 26th. Busy day. Critter Cafe November 26th for Switch and PC. We have Neon Blood November 26th for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. We have 30 Birds finally making its way out on November 28th for Switch and PC. And then a quick update, because I think it would have fallen on last week's video, but we just got the update like today before we went to record. So On Your Tail was originally supposed to come out today as this episode going out on November 21st on Steam and I put Steam and PC on Steam and Nintendo Switch, but was just delayed a few hours ago. So right now the Steam version is planned to come out December 16th, so only about a month delay. And then the Switch version will get pushed back to February. So if you're looking forward to On Your Tail, game still looks great. Just got to wait a little bit longer. Sorry, Nintendo guys, you gotta wait a little bit longer, but it'll be okay. It's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very excited for On Your Tail. I'm a little glad it got delayed because I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
the window just got bigger. I'm just
Yeah,
not by
that's
much,
true,
but
yeah.
just a little bit.
I'm really looking forward to that one too. Like,
Yeah,
the demo was just such a treat.
it was really fun, and I'm like, you know what Beastars is? You ever heard of Beastars? So it's an anime. It's all about furries and stuff. I mean, not furries, but anthropomorphic animals, right? And there's the thing of like anyone who's watched Beastars will tell you how good it is. But it's hard when you have to justify that you've watched like the furry show. And no shot at furries. If you're a furry, please be comfortable. But obviously, as a world, there's like a stigma to some degree.
Yeah.
On Your Tail is one that I am super excited for. And no one said anything yet. I've not experienced anything. But I can guarantee if I'd make a TikTok and I'm like, I really enjoyed this game. I'm like, this guy's a furry. And I'm just like, I'm not quite mentally ready for that. So give me the extra months. But that being said, as long as you don't hurt anybody, be comfortable in your own skin. Man. But yes, those are the indie games releasing this week. And I burped. Sorry. I went to Shady Maple this morning for breakfast. Had chicken tenders for breakfast. It was a good time.
Ooh, nice.
But to round out this episode, typically this is where we will have our viewer write in question, tell us about your favorite indie game. However, we've had a lot fewer of those lately, so we've decided we're going to start using this segment when we don't have a viewer favorite indie game to highlight some indie games that definitely need some spotlight, whether that be under reviewed games on Steam or games that are upcoming that you definitely should put on your radar. Tofr, last week you did Times in Galaxy. I said, what's a game that I need to spotlight here? And I picked Dros. So Dros is this puzzle platformer that came out last year. I think I put my Steam review out, so that I'm a cool guy now. But I think before I put mine out, the game had, I think, like 47 reviews over on Steam. If I can find the trailer, here we go. Dross, kind of a niche word, so it's hard to pull it up. But essentially, you are playing as two separate characters. There's Captain and there's little Dross. Captain is like a knight who like gets damaged and like can't move, but Dross is a little slime guy who can like take over his body and like maneuver him. So you can jump out as the little slime guy and like solve puzzles, go through pipes, all this different stuff. And then when you need to do combat, you hop back into the suit of armor and you have the big guy do all the work until you like pop back out again. It's got this sometimes isometric, but always this kind of top-down isometric kind of vibe where you kind of rotate the camera. There's different puzzles, like you can see where you're leaving slime laying around. This is one that I really enjoyed. I got to play the demo. I got to talk to the devs a little bit. They sent me a review key last year. Another case of like I got to play but never got to finish. But this game is just like really fun. Some of the style's weird. Like I got some big nose characters. I'm like, you kind of ugly, grandpa. But all things considered, you're a nice guy. But there's a very like comic book storyboard kind of like cutscene style to it when they're telling the narrative. The puzzles is really fun. Like I haven't had one that's insanely challenging. Definitely a few boss encounters that I had to like fight through a little bit, but it's a unique puzzle game that I think is really dope. I think more people should check it out.
It looks gorgeous as well.
Yeah, visuals, good times over here.
Yeah,
Go
give
Dross.
it some love, people.
Absolutely, guys. Go play some Dross. After you play Balatro, because you need to play that so you can vote for it for Game of the Year at the Geoff Keighley Awards. It's important.
Fucking Geoff Keighley.
Fucking Geoff Keighley. But with that, that is a wrap on this episode of Playlog, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Tofr, if the little scrublets on the internet wanted to find you, where would they go?
They can find me through my link tree, which is Play Nice Kids in one word.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. And then, of course, you can find me at CGDannyB all over the interwebs. And also, over on Blue Sky, we now have a Playlog podcast channel. I can give you the login, too, if you run it and stuff. I don't care if you care to do that. You just whatever. It exists. But, yeah, there's a Playlog channel. That's where I'm going to start posting, like, the clips and stuff that we typically put out on Twitter and everything, and kind of separate CGDannyB, Playlog, so it's a little less cluttered. But we'll see how it goes. We'll go. So, yeah, be sure to go follow Playlog. I was gonna say go follow Play Nice Kids, but of course you won't do that. But go follow Playlog podcast, so you get all that love over there. Oh, look! Speaking of you, you're right there. It's your Great God Grove review. Look at it. It's on my Blue Sky. You're right there. It's right there. Look at that. Perfect timing. And then also reminder, next week, because my ADHD took away, next week is our Sable Book Club. So we'll be doing that live on Twitch on Tuesday, the 26th. So look forward to that. If you haven't played the game yet and you want to get through that, here it's 8 hours-ish. So you can knock it out in a couple days, maybe a Saturday afternoon, etc. So hop on that or just join us for the conversation and see what we got to say about it. But until then, I'm done. So bye, everyone.